Welcome, guys. Welcome back. I guess I should say good noon because it's too late for good morning and it's too early for good afternoon. So it's just plain old good noon. We're glad you guys are here. We are on the air and live at AJ's Bar, located at 651 South Main Street in historic downtown Grapevine, Texas, where mystical things happen. That's right. Mystical things happen, don't they, Tony?
They do.
Maybe because we're in the shadow of the immortal winged 6'2" unicorn with a 9-foot wingspan named Imagine. Imagine.
Believe and imagine.
Let's not believe anymore. We had to correct the name because we called it Believe for 4 years.
It was 4. I was wondering how long.
Yeah, just because we called it Believe 4 years doesn't mean that was its real name. That's almost like getting your kids' names confused, you know. Yeah. But Imagine is watching over us, so we're like safe and secure. And imagine this. We are happy that you're here. That's right, you are here. And we know that you remember to tell somebody, a friend, family member, a mere acquaintance, even a stranger, to join us too. We know you did that today.
I told the lady at Taco Casa.
Did you?
No.
You should have. And
I will next time.
Maybe she would have gave you some free tacos.
Ooh, good idea.
You could have brought us a sack full of goodies. I love Taco Casa.
You need to work on the Taco Casa sponsorship.
I know. I really should. I need to work on that. In fact, I'm going to do that because we love their food.
Oh, yeah.
Well, guys, my featured guest today is Roger Boyd, once again, keyboardist and the only remaining original member of American rock band Head East. And those guys were from Central Illinois.
This is Roger Boyd of Head East, and you are tuned to DC and the Barside Jive, the rockin'est piece of video you'll ever see.
Well, thanks, Roger. At this point of the show, I usually turn to AJ and say, AJ, what are we drinking today? But AJ's not here. He's on a sabbatical. He is up in the mountains somewhere finding himself. And so we are drinking a mule. This is a Mexican mule made with one of my favorite tequilas. Morgan actually made it before she split. But these are great. One of my favorite drinks. Once again, it's the Mexican Mule here at AJ's on Main. Now, guys, in addition to my guest segment, which comes a little bit later in the show, I've got unconventional news, botched weather, unheard of sports, and traffic that's sure to make you go WTF. So, hang on. You want to stick around till the very end of the show because you don't want to miss anything, especially the end because, like Tony likes to throw things in at the very end. You know.
Like this?
You want to watch that?
And this?
Yeah. Oh, wait. I got to do the bell.
Oh, you got to do the bell. All right.
Okay, ready? See?
It's the bell
It's
is
sticky. It's sticky.
We need to shorten the bell file because it's like 3 seconds long.
It's sticky. Okay. Yeah. So be sure to stick around like our bell till the very end because we've always got something special we stick on the end. Yeah.
We got to fix that bell.
I know.
Yeah.
I'll shorten the lead. By the way, I've got some totally useless information.
Oh, that's really important.
You ready?
Uh-huh.
Did you know that women can hear better than men?
What?
Women can hear better than men. They have the same hearing apparatus as men, but they focus on it more during child rearing. It's a known fact that they hear better. And those of us that have been married or are married or have a girlfriend, we know this to be true.
Now, is it only if they focus on it during child rearing, that would be mothers have better hearing?
Right, but there's another factor that can be considered, and it's that the corpus callosum
Yeah.
of women are 23% larger than men.
Now you got me.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
yeah.
convinced.
Yeah. And the corpus callosum is like this C-shaped nerve fiber bundle found beneath the cerebral cortex.
Whoa, that's way up in there.
That's right. I'd have to really say that slow for AJ. Since he's not here, I can just use normal speed.
Oh, that's rude.
It was. But he's not here to defend himself, so I'm good. If you guys are feeling the urge to call in and engage AJ, well, you can't because he's not here. No small talk today. He loves small talk. And I was going to give you the bar number, but since AJ's not here, there's no sense in calling. But be sure to check out my YouTube channel. Just search Barside Jive Live at youtube.com and click the subscribe, and then click that little bitty bell. When I post something new, you will know all about it after you click that bell. And it's free. It's a free click. And now, guys, a word from Axe.
Hi there, I'm Denise St. Clair, and I am so excited to introduce my co-host for today's exciting event. Former champion of the Albuquerque Open, it's Monica Blake, everybody.
I'm thrilled to be here, Denise. Why don't we get started?
Absolutely.
So no one wants to play with dirty equipment. That's why you have to keep your balls clean. Problem is, bar of soap just doesn't cut it. See? Still dirty.
Well, how can guys clean their balls so that they're more enjoyable to play with?
Well, there's finally a tool that can really get the job done. The Axe Detailer. Cleans your balls. Why don't we start with these small balls? With a soft side for lather, and a rough side for scrubbing, this can make any ball sparkly and new. Go ahead and play with those clean balls, Denise.
Wow. Could play with these balls all day. Let's see if the audience has any questions.
You there.
Can it clean these filthy balls?
Throw those fuzzy suckers down here. Look. Cleans right through the prickly surface.
What about my ball sack?
Just plop it right here and let's get to work. It's a big ball sack.
Monica, it looks like we have time for one more demonstration.
Come out here, Mr. Hackerman.
Monica, can you help me with these dirty balls?
Hank, the Axe Detailer offers such a crazy clean. Can even clean your old balls.
Wow. They look like new.
Incredible. There really is no nook or cranny that thing can't clean. You are a true champion, Monica. If you've got dirty balls that need cleaning, call now and you can get a free detailer. Or just visit the Axe Shower Gel aisle in your closest retailer.
Guys, make sure you get that detailer with your ball wash. Okay, well, it's time again for that segment with all those big-ass raving reviews. And I'm talking big-ass raving reviews here. Breaking news. Oh, hey, our top news story straight in from the Barside Jive news desk. And guys, those, thanks. Those Mexican mules are delicious. Okay. From the Barside Jive news desk, AOC claims she was killed in the Capitol riots and is now a ghost. Straight out of Washington, D.C., Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez gave more harrowing testimony of her experience during the January 6th riot at our Capitol. At our Capitol. She said it was even worse than what she had previously revealed, stating that she was in fact killed by the riot and is now a ghost. That's right, guys. It was very, very, very scary riot, she said. Not like one of those nice BLM ones where all that happened was someone's barber shop or something got torched. So scary, in fact, that I was killed by it. Murdered by my colleague, Ted Cruz. Wow, this is an intense story. The press conference brought the journalists in attendance to tears. The moment was almost ruined, though, by Representative Nancy Mace, who tried to deny AOC's trauma by saying she isn't actually a ghost, and then tried to pull off of AOC what Mace claimed was just a sheet with like eye holes in it. Mace was booed by all the reporters in unison, like they had practiced booing beforehand. Legend has it that AOC now haunts the halls of the Capitol, making loud bumps and noises in the night, though some claim that's just because she sometimes gets the sheet on backward. And this chameleon may be the world's tiniest reptile, but its genitals are humongous. Okay, scientists studying an extraordinarily small chameleon species called the Brookesia nana, whatever, have learned an intriguing fact. While the male of the species might be the smallest reptile in the world, it has disproportionately large genitals. Brookesia nana, a new extremely miniaturized chameleon that is rare and possibly endangered, according to researchers, was found in the rainforests of northern Madagascar. Isn't that where Alex the lion and his friends Marty, Melman, and Gloria hang out?
That's where Ralph, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, is from.
Madagascar?
Uh-huh.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I just made it up.
We don't make up things on this show.
No, it's all
Everything's
real,
legitimate.
100% fact.
Everything's legitimate.
I'm busy over here fact-checking as the show goes on.
That's right. You're at the control center making sure everything runs properly. Anyway, researchers measured a male and a female specimen and discovered that the males are smaller than their female counterparts. But despite its small stature, researchers said, the male had large, apparently fully developed hemipenis.
Wow.
In other words, a pair of penises, not just one, guys, but two, that measured about 2.5 millimeters long when fully exposed or enlarged.
Did you use both at the same time?
I don't know. I guess, well, if you've got two girlfriends.
Yeah.
Did you show them the picture?
I did.
Yeah, did you see the hemipenis?
No, not really.
It's right there
It's
by
like a
those
big
back
blur.
legs.
Is it pointing backwards?
I don't.
I've tried
Maybe
that
one's
before, that
backwards
hurts.
and one's forward.
Oh,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Then you can just back on up.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
That worked good in
Oh,
threesome.
man. Sometimes we just go really low here at Barside Jive, but there you have it. Oh, guys, wait a minute. This just in. This just in. Let's go to Lucas, who is on scene in Leavittsburg, Ohio, where multiple houses are on fire.
Do you know how this fire started?
Yes, I do. It was because of my cousin. And I don't want to mention no names.
Your cousin.
Yes.
And you say you think your cousin started this. Do you know how or why?
He's mad because he can't get with me. I'm married to my husband, and it's a long story. Just make it short. Yeah.
He can't get with her. Okay, well, that is the reason we should drink more. Right there. Okay, guys, are you ready? It's time for rock history. And born on this day, February 8th, 1961, was the Vince Neil. Born Vincent Neil Wharton, lead vocalist for Motley Crue. And also born on this day back in 1969, great year, was Creed Bratton. Lead guitarist for the Guess Who from 67 to 69, and is best known for playing a fictionalized version of himself on the NBC sitcom The Office. And born on this day in 1946, now we're going way back, drummer Paul Wheatbread, who has very little photos on Google. Yeah, he was of the American pop rock band Gary Puckett and the Union Gap, which were one of the most successful radio groups of 1968. And in fact, they sold more singles than the Beatles that year. Imagine that. It's huge. Now, let's talk a minute about those who have died on this day, February 8th. On this day in 1990, Del Shannon, American rock and country musician as well as a singer and songwriter, he left the building for the final time. 50-year-old Del Shannon died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound at his home in Santa Clarita, California. He had just appeared at the annual Buddy Holly Memorial Concert in Fargo, North Dakota, and had recently completed recording a new album with the help of Tom Petty and Jeff Lynne called Rock On. Shannon was rumored to take Roy Orbison's place in the Traveling Wilburys at the time of his death. He would be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1999. Wow, I love the Traveling Wilburys.
They're good.
They are, I mean, we've lost several of them.
Yeah.
I mean, who's left? Jeff Lynne and, no, Jeff Lynne and Bob Dylan.
Oh, I can't, yeah.
The only
I always think Bob Dylan died back in the 70s.
Oh.
Sorry.
I can't believe we got to get him on this show.
Yeah, you better hurry.
I better hurry.
Now, one thing about Del Shannon, there's a Tom Petty song, but it talks about Del Shannon.
Yeah, it's in the lyrics, yeah.
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 So I love that song because it's like I imagine Del Shannon and Tom Petty working on a Corvette in the middle of the desert. I don't know why.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool. In Fargo,
Why Fargo?
I don't know, but I love that movie.
Police!
So, is there anything else you can tell me about him?
He wasn't circumcised.
Oh, yeah?
I have not seen it.
You're kidding me. Fargo? Dude,
No.
you got to watch it. On a cold winter day, you got to watch it.
Okay.
You got to watch it. I recommend it. It's good. Also on this day in 2005, Keith Knudsen, longtime Doobie Brothers drummer, died of pneumonia. Of course, if he died of pneumonia today, they would have said he died of COVID.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The 56-year-old had been battling cancer and had been in the hospital for more than a month. Knudsen was part of the band during their prime hit-making years and recorded Black Water, Taking It to the Streets, China Grove, and Listen to the Music. 4 great tunes, right? Right, AJ? This week in rock history, on this day, 1988 was the year the surviving members of The Who reunite for their 25th anniversary at the televised BPI, British Phonographic Industry Awards in London, England. Their 3-song medley of My Generation, Substitute, and Who Are You runs past their time slot, forcing a fade out during their last song and causing pop singer Rick Astley to accept his award for Best British Single off the air. Ouch. I bet he was pissed.
He got rickrolled.
He did, totally. Supposedly the program got behind due to transmission issues, so it wasn't the Who's fault. But this really wasn't the first time for a problematic appearance by the Who, because 2.5 years after the group finished their farewell tour, they were persuaded to appear in the London segment of the monumental Live Aid concert, which took place on July 13th, 1985 at Wembley Stadium. They were rejoined by keyboard player John "Rabbit" Bundrick, who had played with them from 79 to 81, but not in 1982. The performance was energetic but problematic. A problem with John Entwistle's bass guitar briefly delayed the start of their set, only to have the BBC's power cut during the second verse of My Generation, resulting in only the audio being transmitted for the last part of this song and Pinball Wizard. The video resumed for Love Reign Over Me. Prior to Won't Get Fooled Again, Pete Townsend announced, "I think we're just about getting there. Wherever it is, we're supposed to end up." The guitarist then lost his balance when doing one of his trademark kicks toward the end of the song, although he recovered quickly. Despite all this, the band's showing was well received. That's it. That's all for my daily dose of rock history, which means it's time for a little COVID update. Those Mexican mules, guys, you got to try them. They're good. Fauci says we can fight virus by wearing up to 3 leashes. That's right, guys. Straight in from the Fauci desk. Oh, Lord, this never ends. As the science continues to evolve at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, on how to slow the spread of COVID-19, its experts are now recommending a good old-fashioned bloodletting, saying we can curb the effects of the virus by wearing up to 3 leeches at once. Yeah. The ancient practice has fallen out of favor in the modern medical community. My nose itches. But the CDC and Dr. Fauci make a real difference in curbing the spread of the pandemic. If you can get leeches, that's probably the best way to do it, said Dr. Fauci, but we've seen any form of bloodletting makes a difference. 1 leech is good, but I see no reason why 2 or 3 leeches wouldn't work even better. Now, in a study of 100 subjects, those who let out most or all of their blood were 2 times more likely to test negative for the virus than those who kept their blood and survived the study. Oh, shit. That reminds me.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
There you go. Now.
Hey, my dog got 2 ticks. I should have just left them on there.
2 ticks. What the hell? 2 ticks.
Don't those suck blood like leeches?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true.
I should have kept my ex-girlfriend then, too.
Where were we? Oh, we were back in the study. So in a study of 100 subjects, those who let out most or all of their blood were 2 times, that's right, guys, 2 times more likely to test negative for the virus than those who kept their blood and survived the study. I mean, this is a huge breakthrough, said study leader Grant Stoddard. All this time we've been telling people to put their mask on top of a mask, on top of a mask, on top of a mask. And what we should have been doing is just telling them to bloodlet. Anyway, 5 minutes later, Dr. Fauci said that actually leeches do nothing and might kill you, and I never said otherwise. And there you have it. More from Dr. Fauci, I'm sure, in future episodes. Okay. Oh, so when I was a younger guy, me and my buddy Phil, we were cleaning up around the dock of our lake house out in East Texas. And so we're like coming out of the water to come in and eat lunch. And all of a sudden we see these black things all over his legs. They're freaking leeches. So wow. Phil was like freaking out. We were like, so we got like lighters and held the lighters up to them, and they released. But wow. It was kind of gross. But it reminded me of that scene in
African Queen?
No. What was the movie with John Candy?
I don't know.
Where they fall asleep in the boat out in the lake, and they wake up and they've got leeches all over them.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's a good movie. Anyway, so if you don't know, just let's go to sports. Dun, dun. Okay, guys, it's cheap, it's fast, it's easy to learn. We're not talking about you. It's the barbaric sport of shin kicking, also known as purring, hacking, or idiocy. Not much to explain here. I mean, booted contestants face off. They put their hands on one another's shoulders and kick the shit out of each other's legs, sometimes into raw meat. A point is awarded each time a soon-to-be crippled competitor falls to the ground, howling in pain. A stickler, also might be called a referee, is on hand to make sure competitors actually fell from a shin kick and not, say, from profuse loss of blood. Our crack research team, that would be the Barside Jive crack research team, found this popular in Wales, but that's about the only place we know of that it's popular. So, and because I know you don't believe me, let's go to Wales and take a closer look at the Shin Kicking Championships. Dude, I'd just sneak a knee into the nuts. It'd be over a lot quicker than that. Shit. And just when you thought you'd seen everything, stay with us. We've got more coming. And now a word from our favorite fog hat sellers.
Hi DC, thanks for having us on your show. And for you folks, I'm Roger of the band Foghat, and these are our wines. Foghat Cellars. This is a Chardonnay from Monterey County, absolutely delicious. 2014. We have 2013 Pinot Noir from Monterey County. It's absolutely fabulous, a wonderful drinking wine. If you like Pinots, you'll love it. This is a Cabernet Sauvignon from Paso Robles. All our wines come from Central Coast of California. Steve Rasmussen is our winemaker, though in fact myself and Linda actually get involved in the making of some of our wines. Drink, enjoy, go to foghatcellars.com to find out how to get them. Thanks, bye.
And guys, if you use the coupon code Barside Jive on the checkout screen, you will get 20% off your purchase. Not 5, not 10, not 15, but 20% off your purchase. So get your bottle, even one autograph by drummer and only remaining member from the classic lineup, Roger Earl, today. All right, guys, I think it's time for weather. What the hell? Weather. Oh, Tony. All right. Huh?
And the weather.
Yeah. From your Barside Jive Global Weather Center, where we try to stick to the current weather because forecasts are always so wrong, including our own. Here we go. Local AJ's weather is currently cloudy and 49 degrees. Today's high is 58. Air quality is pretty good. Wind is out of the south at about 14 miles per hour.
14 and a half.
14.5 miles per hour, changing north to northwest at 10 miles per hour this evening. That means we may have some cold weather coming. Humidity is at 84% and a 21% chance of showers this evening. Oh, the sun's going to set at 6:07 p.m., which means we're getting a little more daylight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what moon phase we're in?
Number 2?
You're right.
Oh.
The waning crescent.
Oh, good.
Absolutely, the waning crescent. You know, we are supposed to get some colder weather later in the week. In fact, by Friday, I think the high is low 30s, guys. So we do have a winter. Might only last for 24, 48 hours, but we will have a little winter this year. And yes, AJ, I'm sure if you were here, you'd remind us that it's a little moist. Just a little moist. He loves that word. Well, anyway, let's go to Deshaun in Weather Central, who is standing by that fancy-ass weatherboard. Hey, Deshaun, how's the weather in D.C. area today?
The good news, this rain keeps cruising, can't stop, won't stop moving. Hey, are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods? Are we in the clear yet? Are we in the clear yet? Are we in the clear yet? Are we in the clear? Well, I can't promise you that. Why you gotta be so mean? But then again, give me a little bit of time to explain here, and I'll let you know if it's gonna rain forever or if the concert's gonna go down in flames. It'll be a great night to dress up like hipsters and make fun of our exes. Hey, haters, you can leave some hate. Just shake, shake, shake all that rain off and go right back to dancing like you're 22.
Well, we didn't hear much about the weather, but we did hear a little bit about Taylor Swift's lyrics. That dude totally has his head wrapped around her, doesn't he? Hey, I got a Taylor Swift joke.
Make it Swift.
Okay, so you got to do the sound effects for me, okay?
Okay.
So no, we got to do a new one. You got to do it yourself. You got to
Okay.
say poof.
All right.
Can you do it?
Poof.
Poof. That works. That works. Okay, so there's 3 Italian nuns. They die and go to heaven, where they're met at the pearly gates by St. Peter. He says, "Ladies, you all led such wonderful lives that I'm going to grant you 6 months to go back to earth and be anyone and do anything that you want." The first nun says, "Well, I want to be Taylor Swift." And poof, she's gone. The second says, "I want to be Madonna," and poof, she's gone.
Oh, sorry.
That was a misfire. The third says, I want to be Alberto Pippellini. St. Peter looks perplexed. Who? He says. Alberto Pippellini, replies the nun. St. Peter shakes his head and says, I'm sorry, but that name just doesn't ring a bell. The nun then takes out a newspaper out of her purse and hands it to St. Peter. He reads the paper and starts laughing. He hands it back to her and says, No, sister, this says Alberta pipeline laid by 800 men in 6 months.
Poof!
And that's your global weather from your Barside Jive meteorologist. Well, kinda. Here at Barside Jive. Our weather was brought to you by our good friends over at Doritos?
Bud Light?
Oh, Bud Light. Never know.
You forgot to lock the car again.
I did? Sorry.
The 469 horsepower E55 AMG. Feel the power of a Mercedes.
Okay, guys. Sorry, it wasn't Doritos and it wasn't Bud Light. It was Mercedes. Thanks, Mercedes. It was close. So next week on Barside Jive, I've got guitarist Steve Hackett from English rock band Genesis. I'm talking the Phil Collins, Peter Gabriel, Tony Banks, Mike Rutherford, and Steve Hackett Genesis, which was the most commercially successful lineup those guys had. That's next Monday, guys, at 12 p. noon Central Time. So make sure you're here. Let's take a quick look at traffic. What do you say? Well, guys, it may be fine here on Page Street in historic downtown Grapevine, Texas. I had to check real quick. But let's go to Alex on location in Northern California in the city of Chico near Highway 99 for a closer look at local road conditions.
We don't have it. Tell us another Taylor Swift joke.
Okay. So, what's the difference between Taylor Swift and a flat soda?
Flat soda?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Hey, we're ready with that traffic.
The flat soda won't write a song about me after I dump it. I thought it was good. Anyway, okay. So, let's go to Alex. Yeah, on location, Northern California in the city of Chico near Highway 99 for a closer look at road conditions there.
Company. I'm sorry, the sprinklers just came on.
Wow. So if it's not technical difficulties on our end, it's it's sprinklers on Alex's end. So I guess we really don't have a report from Alex today, but
all that for nothing.
Okay, Alex, maybe next time. Anyway, hope those sprinklers didn't get you too wet. Moist. Yeah. That'll bring us up to our featured guest segment, which is sponsored by Hip and Hippie. Hip and Hippie is a planet-loving company known for its high-quality, earth-friendly, 100% recyclable candle line. And don't forget those natural body care products, because that's what keeps us looking so good. It's no wonder eco-supporting people love Hip and Hippie. hipandhippie.com. Okay, guys, head east. Head east, head east, head east. An American rock band originally from East Central Illinois. The band was formed by vocalist John Schlitt, guitarist Danny Piper, keyboardist Roger Boyd, bassist Larry Boyd, and drummer Steve Huston. Those guys met and formed the band while Roger, John, and Larry were studying at the University of Illinois. Steve was at Eastern Illinois University, 45 miles away, and Danny was not in college at all. Aww. But eventually both Larry and Danny dropped out of the band and were replaced by Mike Somerville on guitar and Dan Burney on bass. The band achieved success in the Midwest during the 1970s, but fell into obscurity in the following decades on both coasts while remaining strong in the Midwest and in the South. They remain best known for their hit, Never Been Any Reason. I'll be right back with Roger Boyd again after this quick break.
Good to see a creator. This video tutorial will provide information on a Lewis script that when installed on OBS...
Well, who was your major influence early on in your career?
Well, when we first started, we were always a big vocal band. So one of the reasons we broke is because we were doing Three Dog Night and Crosby, Stills and Nash stuff. And nobody else was doing that kind of. I mean, we could sing like that. As far as keyboard players are concerned, I always like John Lord from Deep Purple.
Oh yeah.
And had that overdrive, you know, because they called my organ that organ from hell because it was all souped up and had that same kind of overdrive, a little beefier than John's. But John Lord's sound was really good. And Rick Wakeman from Yes had a pretty good organ sound that I like. But John Lord's probably, you know, is close. And actually, Kenny Hensley and Uriah Heep, even though he and I were like two barnyard banty roosters whenever we were on the same show.
Really?
Oh yeah. The first time we played with him was in Wichita, Kansas at Century 2, and they got done with their sound check, and we still hadn't broken quite as big where we were headlining all the time anymore. And I just waited till he got to the edge of the stage and just laid on top of my organ. Man, his head snapped around so quick because of the sound. Yep. And so we always kind of had a little thing going with each other with the organ thing.
If it was just kind of in fun, but
yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part.
Well, the only not in fun Banny Rooster thing I ever did was with David Lee Roth.
Oh, you got to tell me about that.
Well, no, it wasn't a big deal, but it was in Texas, down in San Antonio, because we were on the Texas Jam together. We did about 6 or 8 shows together. So David Lee and I both were, you know, both go-getters. So
y'all got along?
Okay, we got along okay.
Yeah.
You could still be Banny Roosters and still get along.
You may have heard this, but I got to tell you, I was chatting with Carmine a piece, and he was telling me, you know Carmine, don't you?
Yeah, we just played with them about 6 months ago. It was great. And boy, I tell you what, they still sang just like we really liked the fudge. Our drummer loved the fudge.
Oh yeah.
That's because like that kind of vocal. And yeah. I was really excited about playing with them, you know, because they hadn't played together just forever. And vocally, it was good. It was really enjoyable. So yeah, we had good chats with them.
Well, Carmine told me that he said once he and David Lee Roth were supposed to do a project together, and so they had talked about it, and then they were to meet on this particular day, and David Lee Roth shows up, and Carmine said he was wearing something that looked like it was cut out of a Holiday Inn bed cover, you know.
Really?
Yeah. So Carmine said something about it to David Lee Roth. Anyway, after they were done, David Lee Roth left, and that was the end of it. He never heard from him again.
Really?
He said he guessed he got offended that he made fun of his outfit.
Get up, huh?
It was hilarious.
John Mellencamp was pretty touchy.
Was he?
Yeah, he's pretty touchy to work.
Well, we were talking.
Good songwriter though.
Oh yeah. Well, we were talking earlier about the differences in people, and you know, some people are personable, and then some people are not at all.
That's correct.
It's the same thing. It's, you know, some people can laugh and joke and kid, and some people can't take it at all. So, you know.
Ian Anderson was like that. We did some shows with Tull.
Oh yeah.
And he'd walk off the stage and people would holler at him, "Nice show, Jethro," and he just like used to lose it.
Did he?
And I go, "Ian, why you should have called the band something else then, dude?"
Yeah. Why would you name it Jethro Tull and then be bothered by being called Jethro?
Yeah. Or like Jay Giles' band. I was really one of the first times we played with Jay Giles, and I'm sitting there talking to the guitar player and just shooting the breeze and being real friendly. And he says, "Oh, I'm Jay Giles, guitar player." I said, "What?" You know, because you never saw him. He was in the back of the stage. It was Magic Dick and everything. I said, man, how'd you end up calling the band Jay Guy? He says, oh, they just like the name. I said, okay.
Wow, isn't that funny? That's so funny though about Ian Anderson.
Oh yeah, Ian just, I mean, absolutely turned purple.
I got to get him on. I got to do something with him. I got to get a hold of him.
He is what he, to me, he is what he appears to be.
Yeah.
Which is an 18th century minstrel.
Yeah.
I mean, he like,
yeah,
he's there.
He looks
you
the
know,
part.
The show Outlander.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Ian found the magic stone and put his hands on it, and he went back there, and that is where he is at.
That's funny, man. That is so funny. I got to edit some of this stuff though, because I'll eliminate some of my potential guests.
Oh, I mean, Ian, I don't know how he would react to that, but I mean,
yeah.
But I don't mean that as a bad thing. I mean
right.
that as a, and when you listen to his music, I mean, that's,
oh yeah,
he's an old time bard, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, totally.
So
totally.
But I just went, wow, dude.
Dude, if I get him on, I'm damn sure not going to call him Jethro.
Yes, that one you better pass on. I think the Bard thing and maybe the Outlander thing would be okay, but yeah. No Jethro.
No Jethro. Okay. So let's go back. Probably wasn't your first band, but pre-Head East, you had the TimeAtions.
Yes.
Okay.
And we all wore the look-alike suits with the Dickies and the white pants and you know, the old Dave Clark 5 look, you know, that kind of look, early Beatles, Dave Clark 5 look kind of thing.
Right. How did that band work out for you?
Well, actually, the story is kind of interesting. We were the TimeAtions. Now, I was in school at the time, and so summer school, the house I was living in, everybody was gone except for a few people. So John Schlitt was in a fraternity across the street, and he was a beta. And we got him in the band, and we worked all summer, every day, during the day on all the Three Dog Night and Crosby, Stills Nash and all that stuff. Rehearsed every day because we could do it in the cafeteria and just leave our stuff set up. And then at night, we went out and listened to all the other bands in Champaign. August the 4th, we played at the Carbondale Teen Center as the TimeAtions. They got in a big fight and the cops even maced everybody. And so that was the way the TimeAtions kind of ended up, because on Monday, we were going to play at this college bar called the Golden Gauntlet. And it was the first time we could play in a bar because Steve Huston's mother would not let him play in a bar. She's very hard religious, very religious. So we thought we had a gig on Monday. It was in Carbondale too. So we just stayed over and we set up on Sunday in the Golden Gauntlet, and we're going to play on Monday night. And we decided we were going to change our name. From Saturday night, the Teen Center's knew us as TimeAtions, so we were going to go to Head East. We decided that was going to be the name. So we're rehearsing on a Sunday, and Homer goes, who's the manager, really nice African-American guy, he goes, well, you ain't getting paid on Monday night. I go, what? This was set up by a friend of John. He goes, oh, no, that's audition night. I go, you gotta be kidding me. So we're about ready to pack up, and he goes, oh man, he says, you guys are gonna kill everybody. He says, you're a killer. And one of the other managers said that. Monday night, all the hippies and the kids that were going to summer school went to the Golden Gauntlet because it was audition night, and the bands were generally terrible. And so they'd throw ice cubes at them and lemon peels at them and everything else. We ramped into all this Crosby, Stills and Nash and Three Dog Night and Steppenwolf. This place went crazy. They kept us every night the rest of the week, the next week, and playing with the other bands that came in the next week and the next week. We played almost 2.5 months straight there, and we were off.
Wow.
I go, this is what I want to do. Head East was breaking. And so we hit December, and John and Steve tell me they can't keep doing it. They got to go back to school. I go, you're kidding me, right? And so at the end of the year, that was it. So for the next 3 years, I had some really good bands. Green Bean Jean, who was one of our girl singers, she was on her way in Los Angeles and got killed in a tragic car wreck. Very talented, did the Tonight Show a couple times. But I had 3 different bands with female and male vocalists. So we went through our Stones, Jefferson Airplane period of time, and then we did like Whitebird with a flute and oboe, very different kind of band, and then we had another band. So then in 1973, I was done doing cover stuff. I'd already shown people I could put together 3 or 4 different bands. There were some of the best cover bands around. So I go, look, I got this down. I don't want to do this. I want to cut an album, and I want to take a shot at it. And so I quit playing for about 5 or 6 weeks, and John and Steve were graduating. And so they played their proms out. I said, you can play your proms. I don't want to play more proms. And so I got a hold of John. And so then that was it for the band. And I go, we're going to put John, Steve, we're going to come back in the band, which they did. And then my brother, who had run it through prom season. And then we decided that I said, all we're going to do is work toward having an album. I don't care if we get less money, because as soon as you start getting into more of your original stuff, you don't get quite as much money, because they don't want to hear that. That's why tribute bands are so big. Everybody wants to hear that. In fact, we were playing a club one time, and the guy goes, you can't be playing that original stuff. And I said, we just got an album that come out. And he says, I don't care. I said, okay. So I went back up there. I said, and here's Jefftown Creek by Jethro Tull. And they liked it. And the club owner was fine, man.
Wow.
Speaking of Jethro Tull. But so from 73 to, and we had a different guitar player at the time, from 73 to 74. No, that's when we got Mike. We tried out 52 guitar players in 2 or 3 days. And it came down to Mike Somerville and one other guitar player. And we picked Mike, and we played in the Green Bean on Wednesday night. That was our first gig. And then we went out to Colorado and played the old Dillon Inn in Dillon, Colorado. And then 2 nights at Arts Bar and Grill, which was a club that Chicago owned in Boulder, because we didn't hardly know any songs. We knew about 6 or 8 songs. That's it. I said, by the time we're ready to come back, we'll be fine. And we started working on original. And then a year later, is when we cut Flat as Pancake.
Wow.
And then put it out on our own label, of course.
Right.
And then it jumped off. Shelley Grafman at KC Radio in St. Louis loved it and just played the. I saw one of his disc jockeys, and he said, Shelley kept calling me up when I was on the air in the night. He says, play that in Everybody Reason again. And he goes, Shelley, I've already played it 3 times in a row. And he says, we don't generally play anybody 3 times in a week. Shelley says, I don't care. And Shelley broke it. And then it went to KZoo, which was the other AOR FM that was breaking out in Kansas City. Not KZoo. KZoo's Dallas. What was it? I can't remember now, in Kansas City. Anyway, the other big AOR in Kansas City picked it up on our own label. So we were selling it through some of the independent distributors, and we were off. And so then A&M picked it up, and then repackaged it and did all that thing with Pancakes, which had nothing to do with the original title. The original title came about because we were coming back after playing all night. In the Chicago clubs, you played 6 hours a night. Wow. So you didn't get done about 4 o'clock in the morning. And we were driving back to Champaign. Steve Huston goes, man, this place is flat as a pancake. You know, we were all just looking at corn stalks and soybean fields. So when we brought our own album out, we had a pancake floating in the sky, like when the earth was flat.
Right.
Syrup dripping off the sides and clouds in the sky. And then the little patty of butter was the basketball arena at the university, which was the assembly hall. So flat as a pancake meant something to all the people from the area.
Okay. Wow.
And so we did 5,000 albums and 508 tracks. So those are real collector's items.
Oh,
and then when A&M got it, they did it all into this pancake eating thing, which was all we did is put on a bunch of weight.
Yeah. Great album, Roger.
It was. It still holds up.
Yeah.
Every time I listen to it, I'm surprised. And but part of the reason it's so good is, number one, we didn't have a lot of electronic stuff back then. You had to play everything.
Yeah.
You couldn't fake it.
Yeah.
So those albums have a tendency to hold up better because the different electronics and stuff really date your album, from the time period was. And a lot of vocals on it. And we had a whole year of working those songs out in the clubs, night after night after night after night. And so we never ever did that intensive a job of working on our songs as we were able to do then, because once that album broke, then we had people pulling us this way, people pulling us that way, and wanting us to do this. You got to be on the road. No, you got to cut an album. But that was a whole year's worth of work of getting ready to record Flat as a Pancake, and it shows.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of bands' first albums are some of their best.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the first Chicago album.
Oh yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's terrific.
So that's a story of going from the TimeAtions to Head East.
So who decided that you needed a name change?
I think I did as much as anybody, because we're starting on a college bar circuit, and TimeAtions was kind of dated anyway. The old R&B, doo-wop, all that stuff was really fading in a hurry because all the San Francisco stuff was happening. And I just didn't think the name was fitting. And since we were getting ready to do something different anyway, why not change the name?
How did you choose Head East? What does that mean?
Well, we'd spent a lot of time playing in the East, like I said, with Indianapolis, and a lot of religions look to the East, or, you can make stories up about it. But basically, one of our road guys came in one morning as he watched the sun come up, and I was sound asleep. We'd gone through a bunch of names. He says, "Man, we got to call it Head East." Okay, that sounds as good as anything. Now can I go back?
Really?
Everybody kind of liked it, so we called it Head East.
It was that simple.
It was that simple.
Wow.
We probably should have picked something else, because sometimes people had trouble with the names. Just like Never Been Any Reason, I wanted to call Save My Life.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because that's a lot of what people remember about the song.
Right.
But Mike wrote it, and he said no. So we had some problems when that first hit the radio stations, because people couldn't always call up the name of the song right. But the good thing about the Pancake album cover is A&M had the checkers on it, around it. And since everybody pulled albums out of the big rack of albums, you could always see the checks. The rib of the album stuck out. You could line up 150 albums and you could pick up Flat as a Pancake because the ribbing was different. I know, it sounds, you go, really? Is that how things happen to music? So, and we've had other things that didn't work out. There's two sides of that. Sometimes all the stars line up for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're just hitting a fat lick, and for whatever reason, they don't. Our double live album was still one of the better live albums ever out there, and Right in the middle, it was 52 with a bullet and bulletin up in the charts, and A&M changed their whole distributorship and couldn't get any albums to the stores, and so that killed our numbers, and essentially killed the progress of that album. So sometimes things line up for you, and sometimes they don't.
Sometimes they don't. Yeah. Do you mind telling me who the original members were and where they are today?
Okay. Now, when you ask about the original members, do you mean when Head East first started, or the original members with Flat as a Pancake? I'll do both for you real quick. Okay. The original members that played the first show as Head East was my brother Larry on bass. He still lives in Carlyle.
Okay.
Steve Huston on drums. John Schlitt on front singer. Mike Somerville on guitar. Oh no, Mike Somerville wasn't there. Danny Piper was on guitar at that time, and me on keyboards. Danny Piper is living in Chicago. I haven't talked to him in years and years and years. And my brother used to stay in touch with him, but he does some Christian stuff, not professionally, but he does some Christian stuff.
Now, is he the one that was in Petra?
No, that's John.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. No, Danny never recorded professionally or anything. John was in Petra.
Okay.
And there'll be an interesting story since you asked me about that. And then in 1973, when we all got back together, my brother Larry on bass, Steve on drums again, John lead vocal, Mike Somerville on guitar, and then me. And 2 weeks before we were going to cut Flat as a Pancake, my brother says, I can't do this. To which we go, what? He had a child at the time, another on the way. We had borrowed all the money ourselves. Me and John and another guy put it up, and he thought the risk was too great, and he just didn't think he could do it.
Really?
We got Dan Burney, but the thing that could have been really bad that wouldn't have worked out probably ended up being a blessing, because in order to get Dan ready to record, because the session was already set up, and I was bound and determined we were going to start cutting because of the great deal we got at Golden Voice Studios, we had to rehearse around the clock. So by the time we got ready to go in and record, we were in sync. We were smoking.
Yeah.
So, who knows if Larry would have stayed the bassist. I mean, Larry's a good bass player, so musically, it should have been fine. But that was the deal. And then that band, lasted until April 20th, 1980 was our last show. And then John tried to do a solo thing for a while, it didn't work out. And then he went off to do some engineering in Utah or something. When Petra lost their singer, apparently they got a hold of John. I don't know what kind of tryouts or anything had happened. Actually, in some respects, and I've told this to John, in some respects, John actually ended up being more valuable to Petra because he had the perfect story for Petra, which by the way, he wasn't supposed to be talking about, because he'd signed an agreement when he left Head East. We took care of all the business and he didn't have to worry about that. Yeah. That he wouldn't use Head East promoting whatever else he did. But with Petra, he was saved from the sins of rock and roll.
Okay.
From all the drinking and all the drugging.
Yeah.
And so he was instantly on the 700 Club, PTL. So he was the darling.
Right. Right. Right.
And so he had a great story for Petra. The story of the small town guy, we all had that on Head East. But his story for Petra, when I talk about the stars lining up.
Right. They lined up for him.
Lined up for him. Because he was a I mean, people used to say something to me about this, that, or the other, and I go, you know, because they kind of trashed us. I had to call Petra a couple times and go, you got to cut that out. I'm gonna have to sue you. I go, it was the same God, the same talent. You know, I mean, your guy was a good singer with us, and he's a good singer with Petra. But with Petra, he had the perfect story.
Yeah.
About how he was saved from the sinful ways of
rock and roll. Right. Well, Petra was a rock and roll band. It was just Christian.
Striper was a rock and roll.
Well,
band.
That's true.
Petra was on the lighter side.
Yeah.
But I mean, they did some
That's
good.
True.
I mean, they obviously did some good stuff. But Striper rocked.
Yeah.
But yeah, Petra was considered by Christian standards music at the time. Petra was definitely a Christian rock band.
Yeah.
But that's what I said. I mean, John he was the right guy at the right time with the right story. So,
you know, Never Been Any Reason was such a big hit for you guys. So tell me the backstory on that song. Who wrote it?
Mike wrote it. He wouldn't let us change the title, which I always thought was a mistake, and cost us some. It had the synthesizer on it, which was a different sound, which caught the ear of the radio folks. And, you know, I never really probably didn't capitalize on it like I should have. The record company wanted us to do another song like that, and Mike didn't want to write another song like that. Actually, Never Been a Reason made us seem like we were a heavier rock band than we were. I mean, if you go back and listen to some of a lot of our stuff, we weren't quite that heavy.
Right.
But then again, Never Been Any Reason's what's kept us around for a while. So I mean, you know, you take this side of the sword on one end, and then you have to put up with what the other side of the blade's doing. And we were on a pop label, which was A&M. So we really should have pushed some of our pop stuff more, and really didn't figure that out till down the road. You know, that was the label of the Carpenters and Herb Alpert and those kind of folks. And we're sitting here, you know, bunch of beer drinking, rocking Midwesterners on there. They didn't really know what to do with us. So Mike wrote it. He wrote some of the melody lines that I played on the synthesizer. He and I went through that and got that together. But he had some of the melody lines already together, and then I added some stuff here and there and did this and that. But our band mostly wrote individually, which was good up to a point, but there's some drawbacks to that. There's a lot to be said for writing as a team. We didn't do that as much. I kind of like the individual writing because it's a kind of a personal story, and if you can get it across, I think that has a lot of merit. But Mike wrote it, and we always thought "Love Me Tonight" was going to be the big pop hit.
Yeah.
In fact, the Bay City Rollers wanted to do that, but then we wouldn't have been able to put it on the album, and we thought that might be the song that would really push us into the top 10, which it did. I think the "Love Me Tonight," I think the storyline behind the song ran into some issues with some of the AM radio stations, because Never Been a Reason, if radio stations would have known that the words were better than a white line, wouldn't have played it. Like Lakeshore Drive, LSD by Eliota Haynes and Jeremiah.
Yeah.
A lot of radio stations wouldn't play. Great song. Wouldn't play that because it said LSD. We had Lakeshore Drive, but they played Snow Queen. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Go figure. So, but I didn't think of, I kind of thought about it at that time, but John wasn't always really clear with his diction, singing. Yeah. Well, I always had to push him on that when I was cutting his vocal tracks. You couldn't tell clearly exactly what he was saying.
Yeah.
And so we'd be sitting up there playing that song and people would be going, better than a white wine and better than a white lie. And so we never ran into, I mean, once again, the stars got to line up. And so the fact that and that is why there's no lyric sheet to the album.
Oh, really?
Exactly.
There couldn't be.
There couldn't be.
Wow.
When A&M got it, there couldn't be a lyric sheet. That was a very conscious decision because back then everybody's putting lyric sheets with their albums.
Yeah. Right.
Couldn't do it. And so I always wondered if with Love Me Tonight didn't run in. I think that ran into some resistance because of the subject matter of the song.
Yeah. Great song, by the way.
Killer. It was always my mom's favorite.
Yeah.
She loved it. But yeah, that was a really good song. Super tune.
Did Mom know the lyrics?
I never bothered to ask her. I assume maybe she did, but I don't know.
Oh man. Well, you guys did a great job on since you've been gone. Since you've been gone, great job on that. That was another big hit for you guys, right?
Yeah, you want the stars didn't line up right story?
Yeah.
Casey Kasem calls me.
Yeah.
American Top 40.
Yeah.
We are 42 with the bullet. I'm going to be the guy that Casey Kasem's interviewing, and Head East is going to be on Casey Kasem.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, because you go on all the automated jukeboxes and radio stations.
Yeah.
See, when songs are bulleting up, people don't get it. There were various breakpoints that you had to hit. Yeah. And each one was a hurdle you had to get over. And that 40 was it. And so I'm done. And I asked Casey, I go, well, what's the deal? He says, you go into 40s, you go into top 40. He said, you're it. The next week, because a radio station in St. Louis, the guy was on vacation, didn't report it. We went from 42 with a bullet to 41 to gone. My interview is still sitting in some old Casey Kasem's tape.
Really? What happened?
We didn't go in the top 40. I mean, that's how quickly things happen in the music, which, by the way, there is.
Just got bumped.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. I mean, it took me probably decades, and I still don't know if I've ever fully recovered from that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, it was devastating.
Oh yeah.
Because it was St. Louis, I looked at my managers and I go, you couldn't make sure that they didn't, because we were at that point in moving up the charts where if you hit any kind of a hiccup at all, it's like getting in the top 10. When you get close to the top 10, everything's got to line up just right or you don't go in the top 10.
Yeah.
But that 40 thing, and we went 42 with a bullet to 41, then to like 46. And I mean, it still got added some stations and everything, but we lost all the momentum. It was gone.
Oh, so you had already done the interview.
I'd done it.
So it was ready to go.
Ready to go.
God, did you ever get a copy of it?
No, probably just as well.
Yeah. Yeah. God, sorry, Roger.
Yeah. Well, who knows what life would have been. I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
What life would have happened. But yeah, the big problem is, and then the guy that was the head of A&R at that time got another song, Treat Me Right, for us. and we cut that, and he got fired as we were in the middle of cutting it, and then it didn't go ahead and get released. And of course, Benatar then did it later.
Yeah. Well, and in the albums following, Flat as a Pancake just didn't do near as well, did they?
No, and hindsight, we had, first of all, we didn't have a good FM song like Never Been a Reason. And there was some real creative stuff in there, really melodic. We had violins and all kinds of stuff. So musically, like your brother that played some of the classical stuff,
sure.
Musically, there's some really good stuff on it. I didn't want to produce it. I wanted to get an outside producer. For some reason, people wanted me to take a shot at it. They totally changed the studio, brought in a new board and everything, which threw me off. I wasn't experienced enough to go, oh, wait, let me think about this. And so FM did not pick up on it. But then A&M wasn't a good FM label. We should have been on CBS. All the rock acts that survived from the Midwest have all been on CBS.
Mm-hmm.
We had a song on that album called This Woman's in Love. A promo guy from the East Coast says, I got a station that really wants to wail on it. He says, you got to let me have it. At that time, I hadn't figured, hey, this is a good, because we put it on the album because it's a good pop song. It's a really good recording. It's kind of Love Me Tonight, got the same kind of thing. And I was really tired, was really beat up because the FM part of the album didn't go well. They wanted to do it. And I still remember talking to our managers. I'm going, okay, if he wants to do it and he's going to jump on it, let's get it out there. But you and the record company have got to work, we got to push it. They wanted us to do another Never Been a Reason kind of song, and we did not release the song. And as I listen to some of the commercials today I see on TV with some of the songs from the 70s, that because it had a I can tell by the way she walks by, this woman is in love. But who knows? It might not have been, you don't know if it would have been a hit or not. But that was a mistake, not going ahead and releasing it no matter what, because now that promo guy probably the next time, since we didn't do what he asked, probably didn't push our next record as hard. And so that album didn't do as well. I mean, it still sold a bunch of copies, but no, it didn't do as well. And we just thought that, okay, we'll do another album and we'll just, pick up the slack.
Right.
You can't always do that. Look at the Stones. The Stones got 40 some albums. How many of them do you remember?
Right. Just a handful.
Yeah. So what we really should have done is I should have edited Jefftown Creek off of Flat as a Pancake. We should have tried to put, and we thought Ticket Back to Georgia would be a great single.
Mm-hmm.
We should have tried to push a couple more singles off of that, because A&M, that's where their strength of their promo guys was with the top 40 market. Those guys weren't rockers. A handful of them were rockers. They loved the band, but the other guys were all top 40 guys. And then we didn't do This Woman's in Love. So that was the fact that Since You've Been Gone came along, and it looked like we'd recovered and we're going to get there to make the next leap up on the national stage. And we just were that a hair's breadth away. So,
wow.
And so after that, it was just, and then the live album, they just blew that. And it was, then the dynamic thing started, dynamics and this, that, and the other. Then the band didn't stay together that much longer.
Yeah.
Which was too bad, because A Different Kind of Crazy had a song, If You Knew Me Better, on it, that bands in Europe were playing. But the record company never did anything with it, and they weren't that strong in Europe, and they didn't pay any attention.
Wow.
So, yeah. But anyway, we're still around. We're still head east. We're still rocking. And everybody reason is still considered up there with some of the best done from that time period. And so, you know, you want to look at the glass half empty or the glass half full.
Yeah. You guys,
At my
did you not?
older age, I like the half full.
Yeah, I do too. You guys weren't plagued with a lot of substance abuse and bad management problems, were you?
Yes.
You did? You had your fair share of that?
We had enough of it.
Did you?
The management issue, every band that had a concert promoter as a management company, it's a big conflict of interest. So our managers used us to get better. We were with Premier Talent, which was the big agency in the country. You know, they had Who, et cetera, Tall, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They didn't push us like they should have. A manager is going to go out and fight and do everything for the band. You know, it's like getting a fiduciary and investments. Your interests are number one.
Mm-hmm.
They were concert promoters. And so their interest really was their number one, not in pushing us. So they never, other than the first trip out to Los Angeles when we got hired, I don't think they ever went out and met with the record company people at all. It was me, and really as an artist, I shouldn't have been doing that necessarily. Part of the time I should have, but I shouldn't have had been trying to do management functions as well.
Yeah.
And so that was a problem. And then, you know, John is correct. I mean, we were a big drinking band. So there's no doubt about the fact that alcohol was a problem for the band. Not the substance abuse as much. No, we were never big druggers. Some pot smoking, this and that, a little snorting, which everybody did back then, a little bit of. Anybody says they didn't, it's lying. Well, the record companies were providing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because that way they kept everybody high and happy and could continue to take your money.
Yeah, you wouldn't ask any questions about where the money is.
Yeah, that's why almost nobody. We were one of the few bands that owned half of our own publishing.
Wow.
And it's made it. Believe me, it's made a difference. I still get checks twice a year.
Yeah. Well, that was smart on someone's part.
Years. Because bands, look at John Fogerty. And, you know, I mean, that guy didn't own anything out of any. So they took him to court when he did center field, said he was plagiarizing his own song. You gotta be kidding me. That's what the judge said. The judge goes, really? Because bands would always give that up because nobody understood that that's where the money was at.
Yeah.
Was in the publishing. You got a hit song, sell it to a number of bands. So,
wow.
So anyway, you know, like I said, you know, some of the times, and then if you get big enough, sometimes then, and we never got quite that big, you know, we got to play in the majors. But we're not like the guys that make the all-star team all the time. We didn't get that big. If you get big enough, then you can, you know, they'll give you a little more slack sometimes. But even the Yellow Brick Road, when Elton John came out with that, he only sold like 3.5 or 4 million copies, and they're going, they thought it was a flop. I go, you gotta be kidding me. And I mean, that's what went on. If you ever want to see something that's tough, watch the Karen Carpenter story, and you'll see about it. When she put up $400,000 of her own money to cut an album that she wanted to do, and they wouldn't let her release it.
Oh, wow!
I'd have blown the record company up.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'd have gotten hostile.
I would have. I'd have been a Bandy Rooster.
Yeah.
And I just watched that not too long. I knew a lot of some of that was going on. I didn't know the whole story. Because we were there, boy, they'd be down on Karen Carpenter. I'm going, you got to be kidding me. This girl's paying your salary.
Yeah.
The band was so big. But there's dynamics that go on in the music business that's just, I never they wanted me to stay in LA. I just couldn't do it. I said, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. And it's nice that you think I could produce and do this or do that. But I said, I just never cared for the environment. So,
yeah.
So you make your choice. I mean, you know, you have choices, and you also have outside factors that you can't always control that have to line up. And sometimes they line up in your favor, and sometimes they don't work out in your favor.
Right.
And so,
and then all we can hope for is hopefully it balances out somewhere.
Yeah, you have to think that.
We find that spot.
I mean, since you've been gone, it had been a bigger song. Maybe I would have never ended up going back to college and getting my PhD, which is still, you know, was a big deal to me.
Right.
And wouldn't have the nice life I have. You know, I'm very happy, and the guys I got playing with me now are just, they're the best. They're a lot of fun, wonderful guys to play with. Sound just like, took me a long time to get the right guys back to the original sound.
Right.
But at least my ear's still good. The original sound I had in my head.
Yeah.
And you know, so that's what I look at, because if maybe we would have had even more, maybe we'd have had more drugs and alcohol, you know, if we'd have gotten bigger.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of stories out. I mean, you know them.
Yeah.
Plenty of stories out there that people got bigger and you thought, oh wow, and they just.
Yep.
So.
Roger, this only happens to me like 1 out of 5 interviews, but I totally lost track of time. But I looked and it's 4:57. We've been talking nearly 2 hours. No, you've been talking nearly 2 hours.
Yeah, well, I mean, I love the business, and you're great to talk to. You got great questions. You obviously are really, you know, when people are really into it, I can spend a couple hours talking about it, because for me, it's been an interesting trip, wonderful trip. The ups, the downs, the downs.
And people love to hear. They love to hear the stories. I mean, when I interviewed Bunny, we had an hour scheduled, and 3 hours later, we're still talking.
I was going to say, Bunny could talk.
And let me tell you, the first 20 minutes, I wasn't even recording. I looked up and I was like, oh shit, the red light's not on. And he's like, what? He said, what do you mean? And I'm like, dude, we're not even recording. I said, let me turn the camera on. So we did. I was at Mary's place up in Rockford, and I felt so bad, and I thought he's going to get pissed and leave. I came all this way. I've only got 40 minutes. And he just talked for 3 hours. He talked until we filled up the memory card.
There you go.
And I said, buddy, we can keep on going, but the memory card's full. And he's like, I'm good. I'm done if you're done. And I'm like, yeah, let's quit. So.
Well, two things in a recording studio. Number one, did you get that? The record button wasn't on. And the other one is, when we had tape and we used to edit, and people had a solo that they just thought was killer, which was like, and you'd go cut it out and you go hand it to them.
Yeah.
Here's that solo that you really love.
Yeah.
But
that's hilarious.
The thing is, we were so blessed. The band was so blessed, and I was so blessed. I always tell people when they ask me about it, especially the younger people that weren't around during that period of time.
Yeah.
I said, you ever turn on your TV and see that old flick that's called The Golden Age of Hollywood? You know, where you see the Keystone Cops and you know, and everybody running around. And they go, yeah. And I go, that's what the late 60s into the early 80s was like in the music business. I said, there will never, ever be a time period that is exactly like that.
No.
And I said, we were so blessed, whether we wanted to be big or not big or whatever, we were right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And it was just absolutely the best. So we got to play with everybody in the business. We got to do this, we got to do that. It was exciting. All kinds of different stuff was going on. It wasn't so formatted yet. That there was a lot of experimenting, and it was, I said, it was just special. So I never get tired of especially talking to some of the folks that didn't go through it about what it was like.
Yeah.
It's great. It's been great being with you.
Guys, you still are watching Barside Jive with my guest, Roger Boyd of the legendary American classic rock band from Illinois. head east. So Roger, with all of your experience, what advice would you give to someone interested in a music career today?
Oh man, people ask me that, and I'm afraid I'm not. Here's what I tell them. I said, if you love it more than anything in the world, because I came into it accidentally and found that I just loved it more than anything in the world. I said, if you love it more than anything in the world, then go for it and give it all you got, because you're going to have to give it all you got. They ask not Barbara Mandela, who's big, not Dolly Parton, one of the biggest country people there is, the redheaded gal.
Reba McEntire.
Reba McEntire. They ask her if she had to do it, if she would go back, would she do it again? And she says, I'm not sure I would. I had to give up my kids, my family, and that's what you have to do. So you have to love it more than anything, because otherwise you can't rise to the level you need to, and you can't put up with the sacrifices you have to make.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. So I said, if that's the case, then go for it. But I said, if you don't, then just play it and enjoy it, which is how I started. Just do it for fun. And then you may find out that you really like it, you really want to do it. Okay, then do it. I said, otherwise, just enjoy it. Don't beat yourself up, and don't have your dreams crushed because so few people make it at any level. Like I was talking about Pavlov's Dog and Mama's Pride. Pat Liston's one of the best singers-songwriters around. And he didn't have good management and wasn't on a good label. And they had 3 albums and never winning. And he's talented. I go, so we're still good friends. And I go, see, he does solo stuff now, and he's better than when he was in a band. That's better when he's band.
Really?
And tells all his personal stories. But so I tell him about the golden age of Hollywood. And by the way, A&M Records, the facility, that was Charlie Chaplin's old studios.
Really?
And every time I went through those gates.
Wow.
Yeah. And his house used to be there. Yeah. It's the old Charlie Chaplin studios.
I bet that was surreal.
Very.
Yeah.
Very. That was one of the neatest things about being on A&M was going,
wow.
Their studios were so neat. But that's what I would tell the youngsters. If you love it more than anything, and then you have to figure out what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, because what we did, I mean, the kind of stuff that's going on today I wouldn't be in the music business probably today at all, because I love the tour and 150 200, I mean, people don't tour anymore. Mm-mm. You tell people you do 25 or 30 shows a year, they go, oh my God. I said, man, we did 33 shows and we did 33 days and had 2 days off and then another 20. I said, nobody does that anymore. And I said, that was so fun. I mean, all you worried about was what's the gig today? Where's the next town tomorrow?
Right.
It was free. It was freedom.
Right.
But none of that happens anymore. So why I got into it, what I really liked about it, besides the music, was the camaraderie and the travel and everything. And you don't see that today. Right. And so, rap is dominant. Or hip hop, I mean, those are the genres today. Or be a killer songwriter. I tell people, if they really want to do stuff in music, go to Los Angeles and write for TV or the movies. That's the best way to get your music heard.
Well, you've seen a lot of success at that. Only your song in movies and
Dazed and Confused.
Yeah,
the young kid. That's how the young kids know us. Yep. Dazed and Confused is like Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's right behind Rocky Horror Picture Show. Oh yeah. They all know us from Dazed and Confused.
So I guess you're still getting a few checks from all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Matt McConaughey we were in the Sahara movie he was in, and then some other things here and there.
Right.
Here and there. Friday Night Lights, we were in that, and
right.
Canadian Road Trip, whatever that show was. And yeah.
No,
we do. Yeah. Because I own half the publishing.
You're a smart man, Roger
And
Boyd.
at the time, they told me if I asked for that it would make the deal go south, and they wouldn't give me a deal. And I said, you know what? I'm going to roll the dice.
Yeah.
That was. I've made some decisions that weren't quite as good and didn't work out as well.
Yeah. That one did.
That was
good for you, Roger. Good for you.
Okay, but
okay, before we go, I want you to tell me one more cool story. I don't care if it was a place, a person that you've encountered. Tell me one cool story.
Okay.
In fact, if you want to throw an exclusive out here just for me, I'll let you.
Okay, this is pretty fun. People get a big charge out. Oh, I'll tell you two quick ones. One of them, we'd already played a gig, and we had to fly across Lake Michigan to play Muskegon, Michigan at a late show. And it was like 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning, something great back when they did all that kind of stuff. We had to fly in a King Air. And the guy goes, I'm going to be sitting at the small airport at midnight. We have to take off. And if you're not here at midnight, then I'm leaving. You ain't going to make the gig. So we're driving and we get there and I can't find the way into the airport. And this guy is turning the plane around and getting ready to head down the runway. I drove across the ditch and I'm driving down the runway straight at the airplane as fast as I can so that the guy can't take off.
No, what? This sounds like a Die Hard movie.
I know.
Wow.
So that one was pretty good. And then another one.
Wait a minute. Did you get him to stop?
Huh?
Did you get him to stop?
We made it.
Roger.
And then awesome. The other one is we were in Atlanta cutting a different kind of crazy, and we were playing Rockford at the Rockford Speedway because they had big outdoor shows there. Uh-huh. And so the guy, we had to catch an early flight. I was married briefly with this young gal. I had to rush her to the hospital. I thought she was having an appendicitis attack. And I said, well, I'll catch the next flight. Back then you could do that. And the guys went ahead. Well, it just turned out to be colitis and it was okay. So I ran to the airport to catch the next flight. And they go, we don't have anything available. And it was storming like crazy. I said, I got to get on this flight. I'm getting paid a lot of money. You know, we're there with the cars and Nugent and whoever. And I said, I gotta go. And they go, well, you can't. I had an American Express Gold card, which was the biggest one you could have at the time.
Yeah.
I called up Butler Aviation and rented an airplane. And I'm standing there in the middle of Atlanta's airport, and I have a line of businessmen, about 25 guys long. I'm selling tickets to pay for the plane I just rented, because American Express Gold was an open-ended card. You could buy a house on it. I'm selling tickets to the plane.
Oh my.
So American Airlines comes over and says, I think we can get, they had me walk on with the crew. I flew jump seat. I get to O'Hare Airport in Chicago. They have a helicopter waiting for me. And I don't even go into the jetway. They run me off the back of the plane into the helicopter. They helicopter me to Rockford. And as the band is on stage, just about ready to play, they're just walking up on stage. The helicopter comes down beside the stage, and I jump out of the helicopter and go running up on stage.
Wow, what an entrance!
Yeah, it was. And a couple people that knew me really well goes, "I bet that's Roger."
Dude, it don't get much better than that.
Yeah, so crazy stuff back then.
What a story, man! And now I've added something else to your title. Because of that story about stopping the airplane, you're now like a superhero.
Oh, well, believe me, the guys were sweating bullets in the car.
Oh, I bet so.
I'm going, we're making that airplane.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I said, yo, stop.
If Roger says it, Roger means it. Well, what's next for Roger Boyd?
Getting you something in the water tape.
Well, besides that.
So you gotta text me your address.
I will.
I'll see if I can't get it tracked down. You know, with the COVID thing, we're really staying so quiet. Rita got her shot yesterday. She's a nurse and she's volunteered to go back in and help give shots.
Okay,
So
cool.
short-handed. So they just gave her a shot. So she's going to start, and then I'm going to help them out too. Because I got a master's in social work counseling and helping arrange schedules, make sure people get back and get their second shot. So I'm going to work. But so I'll be able to get mine probably in a week and a half or 2 weeks. But we've had 2 close calls. Our one eldest daughter was living with us and she got it. Fortunately, we had already quarantined her. My wife had a feeling and we made it through that. But boy, we were sweating bullets. But a couple times we've been really close. So I'm just not interested in finding out if I'll have a light case or bad case. So I'll get a hold of Kathy right away, but I'll definitely get a copy of it. You'll really love it. It's really been a treat with you doing this. A lot of fun.
This has been awesome. Roger, I just want to thank you so much for being on my show today. It's been a real blast having you on. I've had so much fun, and I just wish you and your family and Head East just all the happiness there is in the world and continued success.
I really appreciate it, DC, and it has really been in this time period with all this COVID in the last 8 or 9 months we've been through, you have definitely erased a lot of all that doom and gloom with having a great time talking music industry and Head East with you today. The best to you and your family and your fans.
Thanks, Roger. Guys, you can follow Head East by going to their website, head-east.com. Also, you can go wherever you buy music and get you some Head East today. I'll have the links in the description below. So all you got to do is just click. I'll make it that easy for you. And thanks for hanging out with Roger and I today. And please like and share this video and click subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's free. And then click that tiny bell to receive notifications when I post something new. That will wrap this episode of Barside Jive. Until next time, stay safe and happy, and I'll see you all very soon. Peace, love, and rock and roll.
Barside Jive shall not be responsible for any incorrect or inaccurate information caused by this broadcast. Barside Jive does assume, however, all responsibility for the satirical nature of its content and for the occasional fictional nature of its content. All characters appearing in this broadcast, even those based on real people, except for our featured guests, of course, are entirely fictional, and any resemblance between them and any persons living dead or undead is purely a miracle.
What's your name? What?
Credits.
What is your name?
Tony!
Huh?
You can do them, man.
Fuck you, Tony!
After this?
But, no.
What's your name?
Oh, shit.
Fuck you, Ezekiel! Fuck you! Fuck you!